Hi, this is Emma, and this is my presentation on fear, the brain, and the world. So, what causes fear? So, in this picture, you can see the green area, and that is your amygdala. It is located in the temporal lobe of your brain, and it's a small almond-shaped bundle of neurons. So, there are two main areas of your amygdala, the centrocortical-medial and the basolateral. In the centrocortical-medial, there is the central nuclei, which is responsible for information that leaves the amygdala, and the red in the picture below, that's your central nuclei. As well, located in your basolateral is your lateral nuclei, which is responsible for information that comes into your amygdala. And this is the light orange/beige color in the picture. So when you're faced with a threat, your amygdala sends signals and messages to the rest of your brain, telling it to pay attention to what's happening. This is your fight or flight response kicking in. In the picture, there are some things that happen to your body when this response kicks in, such as dry mouth, tense muscles, fast breathing, and many other things, of course. Another part of your brain that is affiliated with fear is the hippocampus. In the photo, you can see the red area highlighted there. That's your hippocampus, located underneath your amygdala. And it helps our brains figure out if the threat that's taking place is real or not. So for example, if you're sitting in the car and you look to the side and you see a massive bug on your window, you might freak out for a minute, but then you'll realize that the bug is actually on the outside of your car, so there's no harm to you. That's your hippocampus working and figuring out the threat. As well, our brains are able to remember and predict patterns of threats, and this is called fear conditioning or fear memory. It was originally theorized by Ivan Pavlov and is now called Pavlovian fear conditioning. It is an experiment where you pair a stimulus with a conditioned response. The most famous experiment to show this is the little Albert experiment. In the picture, that's little Albert, and he was only 9 months old when he was put into this experiment. Researchers exposed him to different objects such as rats, rabbits, masks on people, and newspaper that had been set on fire. They observed his response, and he showed lots of curiosity, but no fear. They mostly used the rat, and Albert was not afraid of this rat. However, when he was visiting the rat one day, experimenters hit a hammer against a metal pipe that created a very loud noise. Obviously, Albert did not like this noise, so he started crying and he tried to run away from the rat. Every time after this moment, Albert cried when he saw the rat because he knew that the loud noise was probably following it. This shows that fear was put into little Albert's brain. Another experiment that was done surrounding fear is one done on a patient that goes by the name SM. So SM suffered from Urbach-Wyeth disease, which caused her amygdala to shrivel up and harden. They put SM up to many tests. To see if this changed her perspective of fear. They exposed her to exotic snakes and spiders, which she claimed to be afraid of. However, she showed no fear at all towards them when she got to hold them. As well as haunted houses and scary movies that normally affect people, they had no effect on her at all. There are a few disorders that a lot of people may suffer from, and they're fear disorders. These few include panic disorders, social anxiety disorder, phobias, and general anxiety disorder. Symptoms for some are in the pictures below, such as higher heart rate, stress in social situations, and things like that. These fear disorders are caused by faulty circuits in our brains. PTSD is also another disorder that affects the brain, and post-traumatic stress disorder is caused by if you have witnessed or been a part of a very traumatic event, and you can relive these through flashbacks and nightmares. And if you have this disorder, your amygdala is overactive and it sends out signals when they don't need to be sent out. So living in a pandemic is very scary, clearly, and when we're feared, we can make irrational or silly decisions sometimes. And even if you think you can keep it together when you're afraid or during this time, some other people can't. And as humans, we can feed off of other people's fear. So if you see someone else is scared, you're most likely going to be scared too, because you're not sure what they're scared of. And this is called conformity. A good example of this is when everyone was overloading buying toilet paper because one person was afraid, and then other people started feeding off this fear until everyone was buying this toilet paper for no good reason. And our brains naturally make these decisions because we're afraid. However, we have to teach our brains to not make decisions like these ones and to think rationally instead. And that was the end of my presentation. Hope you guys enjoyed.